We got 1 hour.
We are back, people. All right, we got a big segment coming up, fellas. We've been planning for this one for a while. College football is about, 60 days away? What we got, end of August?
Shit, man, I ain't been listening to Fine Bomb.
Yeah, it's the end of August, so we got a couple. We got about a little over 2 months.
On Jock Sports, they had a countdown.
2 months, but we said we're going to start talking about it right now.
Now.
And when Jerry came up with the idea about talking about the top 12 football programs.
And why we doing 12? Why we doing 12 and not 10? Why we doing 12?
What?
You ain't on this play?
College football playoff.
Playoff. And this is the caveat, people, since 1980. Why? Because that's about around the time we started getting into college football.
Exactly.
We don't know about the 50s and the 40s and the fake Alabama championships in the 20s and 30s or whatever. All the fake ones, they probably got like 8 for real.
That's a lie.
But, hey, we're not going back that far.
Alabama has the most championships, regardless if you take away what you claim are the mythical titles.
Yeah,
you still got the most.
That's a good word for those, mythical.
That's what they try to call it, but whatever.
We don't care about those because we weren't into football until about 1980. We were at an age where we really started understanding football. So we went back to 1980 to give you the top 12 programs since 1980. And we want a lot of feedback on this one, people. You might disagree with us. You know what I'm saying? We might be wrong. We could be wrong.
You're going to disagree.
We could be wrong. But let me tell you the criteria we went with. Total wins. Championships.
Championships matter.
Conference titles.
They matter.
Heisman winners. Drafted players. And the weeks at number 1.
I ain't gonna let you get away with the Bruin shit, dog. You will never sneak that dumb shit in. The man got 4 titles. It's only 3 NBA players that got more. Stop it.
Championships matter unless it's LeBron. Let's get back to football. Let's go.
So those were the criteria, man. The 6 criteria we went with: wins, championships, conference titles.
Conference titles.
If you're not in the conference titles, it did hurt you. Heisman winners, number of drafted players in the NFL, and weeks at number 1.
Weeks at number 1.
So for this week, what we're going to end up doing, though, is making the greatest team from each of these 12 teams. From these programs, we're going to take the starters, the top starters at each position for all 12 of these teams. Today, we're just going to be rolling out the teams. That's it. From 12 to 1, we're going to roll out the teams today. And in the comments, hey, let us know if you agree, disagree. We look forward to it, again, on YouTube, Trash Talking with the Old Heads, or the Facebook page, Trash Talking with the Old Heads. We need a lot of feedback on this one. Greg, Jerry, y'all ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Hold on. Before we get right into it, keep in mind your favorite team, your favorite college team, and keep in mind who are the very best players that you have ever seen play college football for your team.
Right.
And in your mind, put those players at their starting positions.
Right.
And we want to debate with you and see if your players match up with our players.
You gotta look at the camera when you're talking to the folk.
When we're building our all-time teams for these all-time greatest programs in college football history, we want to put our knowledge up against your knowledge. You may have some players in mind that are better than what we choose, but that's what the debate is about. That's what the discussion is going to be, and we challenge you to do that with us.
And just to as more of an explanation into how we did based on the criteria.
Right.
You know, we created a ranking system for each criteria. So the highest rated ranking system, we ain't gonna tell the points. We just gonna keep that in house.
Right.
But national natties was the highest rated.
Number 1, you gotta win, baby.
Gotta win titles.
Gotta win it all.
Championships matter. Conference titles was next. Again, that's an element of dominating your particular conference in your region.
Notre Dame got hurt in this area.
I was just about to say, if you ain't in a conference, that should hurt you.
Then next, Heisman trophies. Because
best of the best.
That's you having one of the best teams now. It doesn't matter what they did in the pros, and there's also we'll get into the other one. But the next one was total wins. Total wins was the 4th highest rated criteria. Then NFL drafted players. Again, whether or not they started were all pros or not,
Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. As long as if they were drafted, that dictates what you did with your talent when they was at that particular school. And then the last was AP number ones. Again, another piece of criteria that dictates what your team did week to week as far as being the best in
Right.
college football.
Right. So where we want to start? Top number 12?
Let's start at 12. Well, let's
Would
start at who didn't make the list.
Ooh, yeah.
All right. So
first team's out.
all right, so we did like the top 20 teams.
Oh, that first one gonna make people mad.
The top 20 programs of college football all time.
All right. So, and again, it was a point system. So this wasn't our perception. These were facts.
Right.
These are all facts.
Nothing but facts.
All right. So Utah was the last team in our criteria, based on our criteria. Utah, they made the list.
And remember,
I know.
this is since 1980.
1980.
Out of the 12. Out of the.
The next team, Iowa, the Hawkeyes.
It was shocking that they were even in there.
They were in there,
yeah.
but they win consistently. They got a lot of draft picks. The next team, Virginia Tech, out of there.
They had a nice little Vic run in there.
Nice little big run. Tennessee,
Blue blood.
Volunteers?
Been more mid than
Out
one
of
would
there.
think lately.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of mid.
They had a
going
good
on.
stretch run in the 90s, but
Right. A lot of
You know,
mid.
Not
going
enough,
on.
Manning.
after Fat Field left.
Now, this one was kind of shocking, though, honestly. I thought they'd be higher, the next one.
But again, they didn't really start making
To the
any noise
90s.
till late 90s.
Yeah.
Oregon Ducks.
Right.
Out of there.
Field
Out of
night.
there.
The next one, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. You Auburn Kitty Cats. Get y'all ass on to the
before
back
you
of the
finish,
bus.
because I want to give them some context, too. Utah had a total of 99.9 points. Iowa, 100.35. Virginia Tech, 106. Tennessee, 133. Oregon, 148. Auburn, 152.
Then the next team, Penn State, the Nittany Lions,
Ooh, I
the
know.
Fighting Joe Paws.
I know you would think that they would be in there, but no.
No, sir. They were out of a conference until the mid 80s.
Right. That hurt them.
But again, they were in there for a majority part. They was in the conference, so
Right.
it didn't hurt them as much. But the next team. Now this one's gonna sting. Golden Domers, out of there. You didn't make the top 12.
They were hella mid.
They've been hella mid for a long
For a
time.
long time.
What really saved them for real was their performance in the 80s and then their performance of late.
Right.
And the last team that didn't make the cut, this was shocking.
How they do it? Is it this? Is it here?
Horns down.
I'm not going to disrespect y'all.
Horns down. You
I
didn't
know
make
this
it.
They didn't. If you ain't make it, the horn down. They
You
didn't
ain't in
make
the
it.
top 12. So we will not
You
be
didn't
talking
make it.
about Ricky Williams and Arch Manning or Colt McCoy,
Vince Young.
Vince Young. None of them
Vince
won't
Young
make
was
it.
not enough to get you over the hump.
What was Colt McCoy's receiver that he had all them years? What was my boy name?
I don't even remember.
Oh, what was his name? Okay.
But that's everybody who didn't make the cut.
Was it Roy Williams?
I thought Roy Williams played defense.
No, you talking about Oklahoma. They had a Roy
They had a
Williams
Roy
at Texas.
Williams on.
He was big. He played at Bama. I mean, at Dallas, too.
Yeah, he did. But anyway, it's time for number 12, bro.
Ricky Williams.
Would you like to do the honor, Jerry?
Hell yeah.
Number 12.
The Gators.
They barely made the cut, but they got
just
there.
barely made
We
it.
in now.
They ain't barely made because the difference
D.
between
Scott, we in now, baby.
the difference
we in
between
now.
the Gators and number 13, Texas,
Mike
was
Miller, cuz.
52 points.
T-Bone, we in there.
Right.
Them Gators in there. We in the top 12.
Thanks
Check it
to
out.
Steve Spurrier because Ron Zook.
Right. I almost took y'all out of there. I almost took y'all up out, dog.
Jim McElwain. Who else y'all got over there? Who y'all coach now?
Don't forget our. No, please don't even go there. But don't forget our freaky coach, the one with Tebow. Come on now.
Number 11.
Urban.
Yes, sir.
Number 11, them LSU fighting Les Miles by way of Nick Saban. They just been a consistent program
consistent.
since the 2000s, really. But because before that, Jerry DiNardo and they had a couple runs in the 80s, but LSU with 3 national titles, that really boosted them.
The man had it.
Right.
Yeah, everybody here, again, because Natties count the most, had at least 2 national titles since the 80s. So.
Right. Then next you have, what number we on? 10?
Number 10.
Clemson Tigers.
The Clemson Tigers.
They've had a good run under Dabo, you know what I'm saying?
But don't forget, they had a great run in the 80s.
In the 80s, they had a run too, you know what I'm saying?
They had a great run in the 80s.
But so they're at number 10, man. They belong. Since 1980, they definitely belong, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got to look at, their total wins. You also have,
that really boosted them. The wins was big for them. Conference titles was big. They had a lot of conference titles.
Oh, yeah, their conference titles. They championships got them in the door.
Yeah, none of these teams in the top 12 could possibly just be recency bias or just everything's in the past. You know what I'm saying? You had to have at least like 2 runs during that period. Yeah, that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like with the way the points came up. You had to have at least 2 runs, whether it's a small one and a long one. You had to have, it seemed like the space, your time span had to have 2 runs in it.
Number 9, them Georgia Bulldogs. Who's that coming down the track? Bulldogs, y'all saved yourselves with this last run, but because if it wasn't for that, y'all probably be behind Florida.
They did.
This last run got them in there,
especially wins,
especially with the draft picks.
A lot of drafted players.
Yeah, prior to I think
a lot of weeks AP. They got a lot of weeks AP.
Yeah, they were a consistently drafted team. When I did the research, they never really had a season. They had maybe one season they didn't get, but nobody drafted. Yeah. They had a few seasons where they only had one player.
Always consistent. The boy before the coach now, what was his name?
You talking about for Georgia?
For Georgia. He was always solid, but couldn't get him over the top. Yeah, they had solid program. Right. He just couldn't get it done, get him over the top.
Yeah, they lack with the conference titles.
Right.
Because they got 3 under Kirby.
Right.
So Georgia can thank Alabama for getting them in the top 12, basically, because they got smart from Alabama.
Now, number 9, and now some of theirs is a lot earlier on.
Right. Yeah, because about 97, 98, they was trash.
Number 8, I mean.
The Corn
Huskers.
Out of Lincoln.
Always known to put people in the NFL, though. Always. They've always had cast to go pro.
And they have a lot of wins.
They had a lot of wins.
A lot of wins.
Yeah. 468 wins since 1980. 204 people drafted. 36 AP number 1s. 3 national titles. 10 conference titles. That's good numbers.
Got to be in there.
That's good numbers.
You talking all time?
They were surprising because of how trash they've been. I didn't think they would be that high.
The recency.
I knew they would be in there, but I didn't know they would be that high.
They had enough in the past.
Number 8.
They had to. They had some dominance back in the day.
At number 7, I know this fan base will be because they just always think they're the best program ever.
But you're 7 since 1980.
They got good numbers though.
The Michigan Wolverines.
Hail to the victors.
2 natties, 16 conference titles. That's big. 2 Heisman Trophy winners, 445 total wins, 225 players drafted, and 36 AP number 1s. Mm-hmm. Do we need to, because we didn't do this with the other teams, do we need to go back and add they bona fides?
No,
we good. Okay, we good. I'm glad you're doing it now, so they know exactly what we were doing. You know what I'm saying? So,
well,
And if you hear some wrong numbers, chime in. Don't just jump in with all that.
Some of this stuff is hard to find when you don't have a research budget.
If you have some exact numbers that question what we put in,
I told y'all last night.
We will put it out on the page though, the information that we had. So if you got something different. Hey, let us know.
Because we had to correct ourselves just as
if like you're a Texas or Notre Dame or Penn State fan and you think they should be in there. You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
be able to prove it though.
this
Fight.
is our ranking.
Fight for it.
And
our
conference titles matter. If you're
Conference titles
independent,
matter.
you just independent. Yeah, you
just
you
independent.
did it to yourself.
Who was next? USC at what, number 6?
USC at number 6.
I expected them to be in there. You know what I'm saying? They had a couple of runs. I expected.
The Trojan horses.
And once we start attaching the players to this, we're gonna miss out on some greats. With them.
Oh yeah. Oh,
they
most
before
definitely.
the 80s. They're gonna be for
Most
they got
definitely,
to have
most
some great
definitely.
players.
Again, all of our
14
old
conference
timers,
titles.
our OGs. Listen, we didn't watch y'all. We didn't watch before the 80s, so it is what it is. Those tearaway jerseys didn't impress us as much.
OJ ain't gonna make the cut.
OJ will not make the
Not
cut.
gonna make it.
He was
Not gonna.
But
He was definitely wrong. But
Here are they bona fides: 2 natties,
Pause.
2 natties.
14 conference chips, 5 Heisman Trophy winners, 5 of them things.
5 of them.
378 wins, 249 players drafted, and 46 AP number 1.
Who had what team has had the most Heisman Trophy winners? Is it Oklahoma?
Since the 80s or overall?
Overall, who had
Notre Dame, isn't it?
You would have to go ahead and pull that up while
Got it where I got
we're
it.
going through here. All right, at number 5, the Oklahoma Sooners out of Norman,
Expected.
Oklahoma. They would expect to be in your top 5.
Yeah, I expected it.
All right, yeah. So we got 2 natties, 19 conference chips. I think they had the most conference titles out of everybody on the list. Dominating that weak ass Big 12 helped them.
USC 8 Heisman's.
They
Ohio
had-
State 7, Oklahoma 7.
Oklahoma has
7.
4 Heisman Trophy winners, 402 total wins,
1980.
217 players drafted since 1980, and 31
That
Weeks.
8 was all time though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
at number 1 in the AP poll. Again, this was just the AP poll. We didn't do the coaches poll. We didn't do UPI. That's part of the reason why we went to the 80s, because all of those other polls were dead and gone. You didn't have
Right.
all these different championship winners. It was whatever the,
Right.
you had the BCS winners, you had your
right.
AP champions
Right.
at this time. So we wanted to modernize it a little bit.
Champions and all
Right.
kind of stuff going on. You know what I'm saying?
At number 4, this was shocking because I thought they would be higher. At number 4, the Buckeyes
Got a lot of stuff though.
out of Columbus, Ohio, Ohio State.
3 natties.
3 natty national champions.
17 conference titles.
17. Second on the list with the most conference chips.
That's impressive.
2 Heisman Trophy winners. That would have been Troy and Tay again. Am I right?
I can't think
No,
of
I
anybody
don't
else
think-
it would have been.
Was it again? I don't think so.
It was Troy and Eddie George.
Yeah,
Eddie George.
I was
Troy
about
and
to say,
Eddie
no, it
George.
wasn't again. I bet
Troy and Eddie, because they played the same year. Yeah. Then you have 414
Got me thinking about the commercials, college football Heisman commercials.
414 total wins, 274 players drafted, and 46 weeks as the AP number 1.
That's big. That's big.
Number 3, these the big boys.
The big dogs.
The
since
big
1980.
dogs. Since the 1980s, you cannot, and even though they trash right now, the Miami Hurricanes, them Slurricanes,
Yes, sir.
They dominated the
Them
80s.
Convicts.
they dominated the early 90s, and they dominated the early 2000s.
Boy,
3 runs.
boy, if we could have Michael Irvin in here right now.
Michael Irvin,
Tripping.
rings and things.
Stick the chest. Rings and things.
This dude. Just,
You
I
leave-
ran past all of them.
like, dude,
leave
you
Michael
looking for
Irvin
attention
alone, man.
this bad, dude? Like,
You leave the playmaker alone.
like, damn, dude,
The
go sit
playmaker
down.
do what he do.
They tried to show them what they can.
All right, the second most national championships since 1980.
Yes, sir.
5 of them.
5 of them.
9 conference chips. 2 Heisman winners. They would be. Who the 2 Heisman winners would be?
Jameis.
Gino Toretta.
You know, Terrell.
Oh no, we
Jameis.
on Miami. My bad. I'm thinking I'm looking ahead. My
Tripping,
bad.
man.
My bad. I'm looking ahead.
Gino Toretta and damn it. Give me this second one. I can't-
Rock.
Killer Ray.
Who is?
But yeah, he got 2 Heisman winners, 375 wins, 256 players drafted. I think they were the third most, they were the second. They had the second most drafted players behind Ohio State, who had 274. And 68 weeks as the AP number 1.
Who? I'm
Quiet on the set, please.
Who is this other?
Y'all get to that. I'm about to do number 2. Quiet on the set, please.
Find the other Heisman.
Quiet on the set, please.
Go ahead.
We're on number 2.
So
Now, at number 2, we have one of the greatest programs to ever live.
Why don't you start with how we didn't have them on the list at first?
Right.
Why don't you start there? They weren't on the list at first.
That just makes me question your IQ.
Not
whether or not they belong. Not whether or not they belong. They belong. You know what I'm saying? Y'all really know what it is already. You know what I'm saying? You can look behind me and know who number 2 is on this list. One of the greatest programs the world has ever known. The greatest program in the history of the state of Florida, for sure. It's not even close in the state of Florida. We know who the greatest program
I
in the
had
state
that
is.
name on my list.
Mm-hmm. The Florida State Seminoles are number 2, clocking in with 3 titles, which should be 5 or 6, if it weren't for damn field goal kickers.
3. Y'all didn't miss those field goals in the championship
But
games.
they cost us going to the
You
championship,
missed
which
them
we
at
would
the
have
beginning
won.
of the season.
Which we would have won. Actually, it was at the end of the season back then. You know what I'm saying? We play them at the beginning now, Miami.
No, y'all was playing them on Labor Day. It was always a Labor Day game.
No, back then we played Miami late.
I wish he had started with the fact that when we first started this, I think the first 2 or 3 sites did not have Florida State on there, and then I was like, Florida State gotta be one of the top programs.
Said they had
all
to
the
be.
people that they were putting.
That's why I wasn't even worried about it.
Again,
I know they on there
because a lot of
right. If you go back to 1888,
right.
then right, you know what I'm saying.
I
It might
tried
be
to
different.
tell y'all
you know what I'm
that
saying.
you was big on the total win. We got to use the total win.
Well, I was mostly thinking about. I just was thinking about the 5 players I know because I always think about like Peter Warwick. Like a lot of people don't mention how fine he was.
Right.
And then when you go to the defensive side,
right, insane.
So that's
Derrick
what I was mostly thinking of on during that reign.
But quiet on the set, I'm still going through numbers.
Oh, Vinny Testaverde was the other Miami Hurricane.
Yeah, I did just
3 natties, 16 conference titles, 3 Heisman winners.
Can you name your Heisman winners?
I ain't got to right now.
Jameis Winston, the only one that we know.
Charlie Ward.
Oh yeah, Charlie Ward. Yeah. Who would be there?
And
Peter Ward.
Peter Ward. Yeah.
Peter Ward.
Total wins. Oh man, that's impressive. Ooh, that's impressive. What did that say? Did that say 400 and something?
It's okay for him to get this in.
437.
They've been so ass lately,
drafted.
so
228.
his pride is appreciated.
AP number 1. What's that number, Jerry? Ooh, wait a minute. Hold on. Where Florida at on here? How many weeks Florida was number 1? 41. Almost double them boys up.
How many y'all had?
72 weeks at number 1.
Y'all did that would have made y'all good for 3rd.
72 weeks.
Behind Notre Dame's 98.
Indeed, but we 3rd. Like I said, the incomparable Florida State Seminoles. Number 2 on the list, baby. Number 2.
Get up for
Way ahead of the Florida Gators.
Get up for them. Get up for them.
Number 2.
Quiet on the motherfucking set. Quiet on the set. As we introduce the number 1 team, who we all knew, didn't have to look this up. You knew what was going to happen.
Man, I wish we had a storm.
The Ric Flair of college football. You talking to the diamond ring wearing, Rolex wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, jet flying, son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time holding these championship rings down. Alabama, roll tide. I don't give a piss about nothing. but the Tide. 7 national championships. You hear me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
21.
And a coach who quit
when he
couldn't get all the best
most
players.
national championships. Shut up!
Got a track record.
Most national championships.
The best defensive player
since 1980. The most national championships. Period.
As soon as it got
period.
Hard, he quit.
Shut up. Shut your mouth.
Made sure he took 2
Shut
weeks
your
off
mouth,
before he
peon.
played LSU every
Listen,
day.
y'all had y'all opportunity to shout your programs out. You didn't make it. Listen, number 1 in national championships, even before 1980. Number 1. 13 conference titles. We should be number 1 because we had the toughest conference titles to get in the first place. So 4 Heisman Trophy winners: Bryce Young, Devontae Smith, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, all of them since the GOAT, Nick Saban. 2 GOAT coaches during that time period. One of them died.
That's impressive.
Super.
Stallings
430.
Wait a minute.
Stallings
We got 2 too. Bobby Bowden and Jimbo.
Y'all ain't, man, if you don't goddamn shut your mouth. 437 total wins, 253 drafted players in the NFL. And who did we say was you said number 2 was Florida State with 72 total wins. This was a number we triple checked. We triple checked. Alabama with 118 weeks as the AP number 1 since 1980. Booyah, as the late great, what's his name, Stuart Scott would say. Booyah. I don't give a piss, and you shouldn't give a piss about nobody on this list but the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Maybe have
Roll Tide.
Maybe have more conference items on your list if y'all value kickers and special teams. Maybe.
Man, ain't nobody studying that bullshit you talking about.
Maybe.
7 national championships. That's all that matter, rings and things.
Now let's go back to the top 12 right quick, because what we want y'all to do, again, starting next week, we're going to take 1 team, right? So we're going to do 1 a week.
1 a week.
1 per week, starting with the team that barely made it into the list, the Florida Gators. And we're going to create their greatest starting lineup ever.
They got to have Tim Tebow as the quarterback.
So we know in the round robin they're losing.
Timothy Tebow.
We know in the round robin they won't win.
Tim Tebow won't be the starting quarterback.
Who going, Danny Werfel?
Steve Spurrier?
Werfel. I don't think
Steve Spurrier didn't play in that.
Even though Spurrier,
true.
Spurrier ain't gonna make it, but
so we with the team only the 80s too. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
the 80s
Since
forward.
the 80s. Okay, yeah. I got you.
Since the 80s.
So we'll be creating the Florida Gators all-time team at every position starting next week. So if you want to chime in, give us some suggestions, have at it. They just barely made the list, but they in here. You know what I'm saying? The Gators next week is on and popping.
Okay, the Gators dominated the 90s, one of the best runs.
They had a nice run. Spurrier had a good run. But thank y'all for joining us, man. Do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube, Trash Talking with the Old Heads, also the Facebook page, TikTok page. We'll see y'all on next week. For the Old Heads, we out of here, man.
we in there.
Roll Tide. Roll
Seminoles,
Tide.
baby.
Roll
Number
Tide.
2, baby.
Number 1.
No, we in there. That's all that matters.
Listen, man, if you ain't first, you last.
We in there.
If you ain't first, you last.
All our teams